All right, guys, we are live here today back at the Garden Podcast. We have a special guest with us today, a friend of mine that I am very grateful for you to be here today. It's I have so many questions for you
Yay.
about what you do, how you do it, and I mean just give us a little quick introduction of who you are, what you do, and yeah, just go ahead.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So I'm Sarah Gemmell, and in my business, here,
Yeah, just a little closer. Yeah, you're good.
Get all up and into
Yeah, get out.
it.
Yeah.
So I'm Sarah Gemmell, and in my business, I'm known as the Queen of Networking. More formally, it's the Expert Networking Strategist. So I really host in-person and virtual networking events, and then I do training and development for corporate sales teams in lead generation. So that's what I do in business, in life. I'm from Philly. I up and moved to Gainesville by myself last year. Yes, it's just me, my 2 horses, and my 3 cats.
3 horses. That's dope. That must have been a big change, huh?
Culture shock, yeah.
Absolutely.
But it was a culture shock we were ready for. So like I was an addictions counselor in Jersey.
Okay.
I moved out to Kansas, run a drug and alcohol program there. Go back to Philly.
Okay.
Come down here.
Okay.
So
Why'd you choose Gainesville? Why'd you choose here in Georgia?
Gainesville was random. Gainesville was so random. So I chose Atlanta.
Okay.
I really wanted to be in it, like the Atlanta area. So I knew I wanted to move, and I was like, okay, well, it's just me. I can go wherever I want. And then with horses, it's harder to find a place for horses than it is yourself. So I found a farm out in Gainesville that I really liked. The apartment was nice and close. The situation was just perfect. Had never been here before. Signed all the leases virtually and just showed.
Really?
Yeah. I
So-
just showed up.
This is a good place to have horses.
You would think. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot more cattle than horses, so it's really not like there's not a lot of options.
Okay.
Yeah.
How often do you ride horses?
Oh boy, I only get to ride a few times a month.
Okay.
We're looking to change that.
But you go like visit them like on the.
Oh, like every day.
Yeah. Did you ever ride them like competitively or no?
Yeah, I did like low key competitive barrel racing, and then when I was a kid, I used to do like jumping.
Okay.
But then I broke my back, and I don't compete anymore.
Oh yeah, we were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Off this before we started this. You're telling me about how you don't get on bouncy houses or nothing like that.
It is such a shame too, because I'd be going to those trampoline parks, really wanting to bounce around on the trampolines.
Where did you go? Where did you say you were? Where you saw the biggest bounce house like in the world or something?
Phoenix. Yeah, I was there speaking at a summit, and the coolest thing happened. So my friends from Kansas.
Okay.
Have been stationed in Germany and Alaska for like the last 7 years. They get stationed in Phoenix, Arizona 2 weeks before I show up. So for the first time in like 6 or 7 years, I get to see my best friend and his family.
It kind of worked out then.
Yeah, it was perfect.
There
So
you
we
go.
went to the mall, and their kid was bouncing around on this bouncy house
Yeah.
thing.
It was at the mall.
Yeah, it was like in the mall parking lot. It was weird. It was a little weird, but it was cool.
Did you say you were speaking out there?
Yeah, I spoke at a summit.
How do you do that? Like, do they call you to come out and speak, or do you register to speak, or how does that work? I'm curious because I see all these like speakers and stuff, and I'm just like, does everybody get paid to go out there? Like, how does this work? I mean, you don't gotta speak too much in everything, but whatever you want to share.
It's a mix, right? So you have most of the time you have to go and you pitch yourself. You apply, you send an email like, hey, here's what I talk about. Here's how it could fit your event or your team or whatever. Eventually, the goal would be, right, when you start speaking at summits or events or team workshops, that the people in the audience will then say, wait a minute, you were really good. I want you to come to my event, right? So I've started to go into that. I've started to transition into that where people are now pitching me.
That's what's up.
But when you start, it's like, hey, here's what I do,
Yeah, you
right?
gotta sell yourself. Yeah,
you got to sell
Like
yourself.
anything.
Exactly. And you can find
yep.
usually like open applications. It's pretty easy to find if you're looking in the right places.
Yeah.
And then it's a mix. You know, you're going to get some that pay their speakers $15,000 for a 1-hour keynote. And you're going to get some people who are paying you in quote unquote exposure.
I mean, I guess it depends, right? Sometimes it's good. Sometimes you kind of make it work, right? You make it work. How was it when you first like started like speaking in front of people? Do you enjoy speaking in front of people?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah. I don't know, like, so I took a public speaking class in college was required to get my bachelor's degree.
Where'd you go to college?
Rowan, South Jersey.
Okay.
So I had to take a public speaking class, but I was in the class with a group of girls that actually low-key tried to jump me. So I kind of had this like micro trauma from this class. So it made me think that I hated public speaking. And then when I got out of that environment and actually started doing it in real life, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I actually love doing this. I don't really get that nervous because I'm good at it.
Okay.
You know, like this was just one of the gifts. I can speak to whoever and whenever and about whatever, right? Like I'm pretty good on the fly. So it turns out like I love it.
Well, I guess that's why networking is kind of your thing.
Yeah.
That's funny because I remember when I was in high school and everything, I was not like a prepared kid to be like, oh, I got all my homework done and this and that. But I was very like, put me in front of the class, I want to say some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to say something.
I'll come
like,
up with something.
Yeah. I remember I was actually in an entrepreneur class after my business intro to class or whatever it was. Yeah. And which was dumb because I should have stuck into that because I would have learned so much more. But I actually dropped out of that class, which is dumb. But they put me in front of the class to speak about my job or something like that. And I was just working as a busser. But I remember that time. It kind of was, thinking back to it, it was cool because I just went up there and just like bullshitted it. And I was, and randomly at the end, he was just like, guys, if you guys want to we're going to take a quick little vote of who you guys enjoyed talking and this and that. And I remember there was this one kid, like he was kind of quiet, but for some reason, he was like, I liked Albert's. His was like really good. And I was like, what the fuck? But as a kid, you don't understand those things. You're kind of just like, I was kind of just like, okay, cool, whatever. But now thinking back, you're like, whoa, I enjoy talking about it. And that's a reason that I actually started this. Because I'm like, I love to have a conversation with people. I love to hear about your stories. And it was just a cool moment to kind of go back and think about. Tell me about when you your first time speaking in front of people, like in a crowd. I want to know the feeling. I want to know where it was. 'Cause I'm sure you have some kind of memory from that first moment, don't you think?
I do. Let me think of where.
Was it in Philly?
It had to have been in Philly.
Yeah.
So part of my job in Kansas, right? I ran a drug and alcohol education program for young adults. Part of that was speaking to the group all the time.
Okay.
They kind of looked at me as a teacher. I didn't really fall into that category, but that's what they felt it was. So that was a little bit of public speaking, and then
like the beginning of it for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean you're still talking to a group, right? And like whatever. So you have to get comfortable in front of that, and then I would speak to the whole program, even the kids who weren't doing the drug and alcohol education.
Okay.
But actually, it was really Facebook Live. This is gonna sound so stupid. Doing Facebook Lives. Just knowing, right, that thousands of people are friends with me or follow me on Facebook and are possibly going to see this live. And it's like, even though you can't see the audience, you have to get really comfortable and being conversational and being natural and and talking, and kind of what you and I talked about before you hit record of like, okay, well, here's the outline of what we want to cover, but it's not going to be over rehearsed. It's not going to be practiced. It's just going to be what it is. So it sounds silly. Facebook Live did that. And then I joined a networking group when I was running my fitness business, and they did like business spotlight. So everyone who was a member of that group would get 10 minutes to speak about their business. Okay. And that was the first time I had done it in that kind of setting. So it was like a group of my peers, and I was speaking about my business. And that felt like I was probably over prepared. But I'm very neurotic, like very neurotic. So now I'm good on the fly because I talk about the same stuff pretty much all the time, right? Yeah. But it's like that first time I was like practicing for weeks. That was probably a little overkill. Yeah. But what happened was people in that audience were like, oh my God, that was the best business spotlight we've ever heard, right? And then I want to invite you over to this networking event, and I want to invite you here to speak. And that kind of spiraled into these speaking engagements and other networking groups.
Kind of what you were saying earlier, just like, you go in hoping for the best exposure, and then people will reach out to you, God willing.
Right, exactly.
But I've seen you consistently post, and that's one thing my brothers and I are very like adamant about when it comes to our own thing that we do. That it's like somebody's gonna say some shit about it, but you can't worry about that. You know what I mean? And it sucks because it's like someone always got some shit to say. But even with this, I get. This is only my third one doing this, and I'm still like, you know what I mean? But I don't care. Like, I'm just very focused on the end goal. Yeah. I'm focused on where it can go, and not focused on what nobody has to say. But I've seen you posting on Instagram, your reels and all that kind of stuff. And I want to congratulate you on that, because there's not a lot of people that stay consistent with it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the key, I feel like, to a lot of things. Just stay consistent with it. You know what I mean? Don't worry about what everybody really is saying, because like you said, nobody's really in front of you when you're recording these things. Mm-hmm. But at the back of your head is like, someone gonna listen to shit that I don't want them to,
yes.
or what are they gonna be thinking? But so you've gotten very comfortable though with being in front of the camera then, and understanding that, and that's cool. That's hard for some people to do though.
Yeah, it's just kind of exposure therapy. Like you just kind of have to do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I went back and looked at what I used to post on the internet probably 5 years ago, it'd be a little cringy, right? But it's like, that's just kind of what we all do. Like, it's all a little cringy sometimes, you know? Yeah. And it's like, that's the cool part, is like, I was so consistent that was a little cringy, but like, I'm still so proud of myself for doing that. Because if I didn't have those cringy moments, I wouldn't be here. Like, you literally don't just pick up a mic one day and you're a good speaker. You're a good, content creator. Especially me, I'd be shaking my ass all up on Instagram, right? So that was like a big deal for me to like start dancing online, because I was like, this is weird. People are going to like, what the hell? Yeah. Maybe they do. I've had a very small percentage of people have a comment about that. But I'm like, you know what? I feel good about it. Yeah. It's part of my personal brand. And it's like, it's usually paired with something that makes sense for what I'm doing. It's not just this like random, like, totally out in left field thing, right? Like it still makes sense for what I'm doing. And I actually just had someone ask me the other day, he said, why do you put so much personal stuff on the internet? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I really don't. Mm-hmm. I said, I talk about personal stuff, but when you think about it, there's a lot of my personal life that is not on the internet. There's a lot of things that I decide to keep private, right? Just because I show you my cats and I be shaking my ass and, I do share parts of my personal life, but it doesn't mean that my entire personal life is shared on the internet, right? And you really can't build a personal brand without showing the personal stuff.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I was going to say that one thing about these successful content creators and YouTubers or whatever you want to call them, it's like they get vulnerable on the camera, and that's a thing that is scary for people, and rightfully so. Dude, it's hard to get vulnerable with someone off the camera, right? So imagine doing it just to a camera. But that is what people resonate with. That's what people will look at and be like, oh, like they did it, I can do it too. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like the overall goal of a lot of people that are in content creating, that they want to make sure that people are looking at it and being like, look, I just started how you started, or you could start just how I started. Yeah. It's all from humble beginnings, and kind of just being able to get past that, quote unquote cringiness, right?
Well, people want to connect with other people. Yeah. So you can make candles, and you could just sell the candles online, and it could all be about the candles, and you never show your face. It's not impossible to do. Mm-hmm. But the minute you come face to cam, people get to know you. Exactly. They invest more in you. So when they think about candles, they're like, oh, I really like Sally because I saw, I feel like I know her. Mm-hmm. And it's like, in today's world of marketing, people don't want the perfectly curated, recorded in a TV studio type of marketing. Mm-hmm. They want the, like, you're holding your selfie cam, your hair's a mess, you're not wearing any makeup. Yeah. They want that authenticity.
Just that realness.
They do, right? And like, I'm a big one on energy. If I watch your content and I'm getting fake energy, I'm automatically not trusting you. I'm automatically not buying into your personal brand.
I'm that same way. Right? It's very important. Like, you can see who's faking it.
You know what I mean? You can feel it. It's like something is off.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's like, even through camera, you can kind of tell like someone's kind of like faking it. Just kind of not really keeping it real, just hiding something or hiding this. Obviously, like you said, it's good to keep some things personal. Of course, you don't want to put too much out there. Right, but in the sense of the brand that you're trying to grow is very important. To be honest, keep it real. Yeah. But I have a question for you about something. It's I want to know the beginning and the end of Gem Fit Squad.
Oh, yes.
I want to know about this, because this is actually something we've never talked about.
We have not.
And but I know I've heard about it. You always kind of bring it up here and there. Yeah. And I want to hear it. I want to hear it because I remember listening to a few of your past interviews and podcasts and stuff, and it was a lot of passion behind it, Yeah. And some people don't understand that sometimes there can be a bunch of passion behind something, and it doesn't. I don't know your situation, but in my case, when I was running my moving business, I had so much passion behind it, but in a sense, I lost something there that made me say it's time to switch paths. And people out there, you may be in that same scenario right now, and I want to hear how you got through it and how you went about and what made you make the switch, right?
Yeah. Transitions are hard.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're talking about your money.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gem Fit Squad.
Gem, my bad. Isn't
It's
that
okay.
Gem?
Everyone thinks it's Gem.
Pronounce your last name for me.
Gemmell.
Gemmell.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was something I didn't realize until after I had put that out into the world. So Gem is kind of its like second pronunciation, but that's okay. So Gem Fit Squad came about really in the pandemic. Okay. So I leave addictions counseling. I start personal training. And personal training is hours for money. Hours for money, right?
Yeah.
So I knew there was no longevity there because it's like if I miss a day, I lose money.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I can only take so many clients. I have no interest in working from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. That's not sustainable. Yeah. It's okay. When I'm single with no kids, that's cool. Mm-hmm. But that's not going to be my life forever. Right. Exactly. So I knew that going into it. But then I broke my back 2017. So in 2017, I broke my back and they were like, okay, you need a spinal fusion. You'll be out of work for up to a year. And I kind of had that like, oh shit moment of like, oh, okay. So like that sucks. Mm-hmm. So let's build this online component. Mm-hmm. And for a year and some change, I guess closer to 2 years, because it got me to 2020, building this online component, but still doing the in-person. Then the pandemic happens and it's like, okay, cool. Now I can only do the online component. Yeah. But thank God I had started that prep time before because trainers who tried to just overnight build an online business failed.
During the pandemic?
Yeah, because you can't do it overnight. Building an online training business is so vastly different than an in-person training business. Mm. The platforms are different.
No, definitely.
Even the techniques of coaching someone are different, right?
Yeah.
So thank God I had already set that up. So in the pandemic, we transitioned 100% online. The Gem Fit Squad was a membership platform that served women globally. And I ended up building a team of instructors. So it started out just me. And then I would bring someone in to like teach a kickboxing class. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, I really like this. Mm-hmm. So if we charge one fee and just give these women this access to just any of the classes we host. Mm-hmm. They were live classes. You're two-way streaming, so I can see you, I can still form correct, give you the accountability, right? The number one quote-unquote competitor I had was Peloton. Mm-hmm. Peloton can't see you. They don't know who you are. You could be over there eating a cupcake, and they're like, yeah, let's go, Albert 205,
You're talking about when they have like the screen, and it's just like, it's just like a pre-recorded thing? Yeah,
even the live ones, right? Even the live ones, you can see them, but they can't see you with the bigger companies. Mm-hmm. With us, we could see you. So if you walk away, I'm saying, hey, Albert, where'd you go? Yeah. Right? Like, let's go. Get back to it.
Let's get to work.
Right. So that's why women really liked working with us.
Okay. It was only women?
It was only women. Okay. Yep. I did have a male instructor, but the platform was for women.
Yeah, for women. Yeah. Okay.
And they loved him. His name was Eric. He did our yoga class. He was amazing. But what happened was it went really, really well. I had a whole admin team. I had a team of instructors. We were serving women all over the world. But when I moved here, I mean, obviously I was going through some personal stuff because I just packed my bags one day. I moved to Gainesville, Georgia. Mm-hmm. So when I moved here, it was really starting to feel out of alignment and it just wasn't lighting me up the way it used to, right? Like I'm really passionate about mental health.
Okay.
And that's why I'm so passionate about fitness is because fitness for mental health. I could really give a rat's ass about the physical stuff. Like that's cool, right? It's cool to have a popping ass and, flat abs. But like working out can help your depression. It can help your anxiety. Absolutely. It makes women more comfortable in their bodies and, all these things. Their relationships become healthier, right? All these things. Childhood trauma starts to become healed. That's what I was passionate about. And something just started to really feel out of alignment. So in April of 2022, because I was here, I decided, okay, it's time to transition out of this.
When did you move here?
January of 22.
Okay, so a couple of months in while you moving. So you were doing it when you moved here?
Yeah, it was like I was doing it, and at that point, it was kind of like I knew it was out of alignment, but I was still trying to push through.
Yeah.
Because I think as entrepreneurs, we hear all the time, like, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up, which is true.
Yeah.
You do have to have grit.
Yeah.
But at some point, you have to listen to your intuition that's saying, okay, something is not in alignment here. Like, this is not what I'm meant to be doing anymore. Mm. And not for really any good reason, right? It's not like I can pinpoint why. It's just like in my gut, I'm like, okay, this isn't God's plan for me anymore.
Tell me about it. I already know. Like, you know, when you met me, I think I was full force in the moving business.
Yes.
And that transition. Tell me about that. When you stopped doing it, did you feel? Because I know when I stopped doing it, I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do now? You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have no plan. Like, I don't know if you did, but I didn't have no plan when I stopped doing it. I was just kind of like, I remember sitting one day with Hulu and I was like, I'm tired, bro. I'm tired of doing this shit.
Yep.
And I'm like, I love the money, but it's not driving me how it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like shit. Like, physically, I feel like I guess the bank account looks good, but it's also like that's not everything for me.
No.
Tell me how you felt when you stopped.
Fearful is probably the best word, because, you know, when you're a full-time entrepreneur, you have to drive your own income. And as a single woman, I don't have someone else to fall back on financially, right? And that's a blessing to have that person in place, right? Yeah. If you have a significant other that works for corporate and they have a steady paycheck coming in, but it's like, okay, I have to drive revenue or I'm literally going to lose my house.
Yeah.
That's a scary like amount of pressure to put on yourself. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if you burn yourself out doing this thing, if you don't go through this transition, it's going to fail anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Because your energy shifts. People aren't going to be excited to work with you because you're not excited to do it. Even if you think you can fake the funk, the energy is not there for your content, your marketing, your sales, right? So it's like fearful, I think, is the best word. And I also had a big fear of judgment, right? Like if I put out in the world that this thing I've been building for the last 2 years is no longer a thing, like are people going to think that I failed or I just couldn't make sales, so I decided to do something else, and kind of that fear of judgment of other people.
Or just like being called like a quitter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause,
And then you also have all these, like for me, I was running a membership style. Like that was the business model, right? Women were paying every month to be part of it. So then it wasn't just like I stopped taking clients. It was I actually have to reach out to them and say, we're not doing this anymore, right? So there was a lot of facets to it. I had to let go of my team. I went back to being a solopreneur. I have no team at this point. Probably getting back into building a team, but like I went from a team of 12 to just me again.
Yeah.
And then I had to go and I had to email all my clients and be like, okay, I canceled all of your subscriptions.
Yeah.
And this day is our last day, right? That's a big deal. And like I literally just fired all of my revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. Did they like have a lot of questions for you about why you were stopping, or were they cool with it?
My clients in fitness were so amazing.
Okay.
They were really supportive. And I think some of them were also getting into the point where they wanted to transition out of pandemic mode. And a lot of them wanted to go back to in-person gyms anyway.
Okay.
I mean, the virtual worked really well and it has sustainability because going to the gym is just not always plausible.
Yeah.
But I think coming out of the pandemic, it was just a weird transition time for people. Yeah. So it was kind of the perfect time for me to do it because like everyone was like, okay, well, what are we doing? We're all kind of evaluating, right? But they were so supportive. They were so supportive. Yeah, I had the best clients. Yeah. I really did.
Yeah, that's the best feeling, right? When you have some support behind you on whatever you do. Mm-hmm. When I stopped doing the moving thing, like you, I was like, damn, somebody gonna call me a quitter. So, and I'm like, and at that time when I was doing the moving stuff, I kept trying to find something to transition into. So I kept trying to do something else, and kind of was like, this is not it. And I tried something else, and this wasn't it. Mm-hmm. And so it felt like I had given up like more than once. I was like, damn, I gave up already like 3 times, and I'm like, I'm gonna give up on the main source. Mm-hmm. But truthfully, like truth be told, that's what pushed me to find the next thing. You know what I mean? That's what pushed me to be like, well, shit, you can't go back now. You
right.
know what I'm saying? See,
right.
Like the other times, it was kind of like, yeah, you're trying to do this, but it's like, but you're still doing this. You know what I mean? So letting go of that was kind of the, I just hate the whole quit thing, you know? And I'm not saying like, to all you entrepreneurs out there, I'm not saying like, oh, when things get hard, just give that shit up. But it's more like, understand yourself and understand what you're trying to do. If it's not something, if it's something you started like, just like with no passion behind it, and you kind of just wanted to do it to make some money, then figure out the passion behind it. Because if you don't, you're gonna end up in a sticky situation down the line. But because I started it because just for the money during the pandemic, you know, I was working as a server and then I started the moving business. And if anybody is in the moving business, they know that during the pandemic it was crazy. So you you grew off of that.
Yep.
And but yeah, that transition, it was hard for me too. It was hard for me too.
I think that you have to be strategic.
Did you have a plan? Like
I did.
Okay.
I did. Let's go back to my neuroticism, okay? Because I don't do anything without a plan. Spontaneity makes me anxious. I don't like it. So I really took time behind the scenes to like fall back on my friends and really talk to my entrepreneur friends and my masterminds and my business coaches and like, okay, what does this transition look like? Before I actually go and announce it. Like, let's have at least a little bit of a plan. But I think that when you make these transitions, you have to just go with what makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, you do have to do a little bit of like really just pushing through and like giving it a chance to see if it works or not, if you like it or not. It's okay to figure out what you like and don't like.
Definitely.
But, you know, I can think of some entrepreneurs that are constantly changing what they do.
Yeah.
And we do have to keep in mind that really ruins the trust factor in your personal brand. Because if you're constantly changing what you do, I'm not really excited to buy into what you're doing this month because next month I think you're going to change it again.
Absolutely.
Because that's what you've been doing for the last 6 months.
That's important.
Yeah.
That's
so
important.
you do have to be strategic.
Yeah.
And don't always be quick to jump the gun to put it out in the world. Like give it time to really think about, okay, is this what I want to be doing? Does this make sense for my end goal? Because if you're constantly just putting out all these new things, people are like, okay, well, I'm not going to buy this life coaching from her because in 6 days, she's going to do something different.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
But for me, it was, okay, what makes the most sense? And I had already been hosting virtual networking events to help drive leads to the fitness business. I had been doing it behind the scenes. We met weekly. It was a virtual networking group. It all grew from word of mouth. I never marketed it publicly. And I was like, I really like doing it. And if that's where I want to go with this, if I want to start focusing in the networking world, I'll just make a video online that says, hey, I'm going through this transition. The fitness offers don't exist anymore. Here's what does offer, and here's how they make sense, because they feel like they don't make any sense, right? But if in my business, in my fitness business, the lead generation that made me the most was networking. That was the one thing I was really, really fucking good at. So it's like, and I was already hosting this event. So it's like, cool, let's just bring that to the forefront. Now it requires strategic marketing and content planning and all these things. But then I just started talking about networking. Yeah. And, you know, no one really asked too many questions, to be honest with you. Like, people were like, cool. And my content online took off. Yeah. People loved hearing about the networking side of what I was doing. And the cool thing about the networking thing, no one else is really doing it.
Definitely. When I met you and you told me about like the whole network thing, I was like, let me look into this real quick. And when I found your Instagram, I was like, okay, I see it. I see the potential in it and where you're taking it. And I'm like, that's what's up. That's what's up. I'm like, I'm glad like I was saying earlier, you really made something out of nothing. You know what I mean? Like something that people don't see as a, you know, people think, I've heard you say this a lot of time. People think you can kind of just wing it when you go into places, but it's not that simple. You really got to go in there. And I've learned that a lot of times hands-on, just dealing with my brothers, managing my brother is like, we're always looking for sponsorships and this and that. And I'm like, I don't know shit about sponsorships. You know what I mean? But at the beginning, but then when you start going out there and start talking, I'm like, damn, I should have said this. So the next person, I'm going to say this. And then you kind of start laying it out how you should be saying it. And now you got this spiel for everybody that you want to, you know what I'm saying? You want to bring on. Yeah. Yeah, that's dope. That's what's up. And now we're full circle back to what you do now. Yep. Right? So tell us about what you got going on right now.
So it really is just, I host in-person and virtual events. My events are women specific, just because there's such a need in the networking world for a space for women, right? You can go to pretty much anywhere and find a traditional networking event. So I created these events for women. But on the consulting and training and development side, that is not gender specific. And that's for teams it could be a team of one, right? Like I'm a solopreneur. I'm in charge of driving sales to my company. So I'm a team of one. Or it could be a corporate team of 100 people. Whoever the business title is or the job title is that's responsible for bringing in leads to that company, they can benefit from what I do. So I don't teach closing sales. That's a different training. But I'm going to help you generate leads. I've helped businesses bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars of leads. It's your job to close it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
But I'm going to help you get out there, and I'm going to help you drive leads through networking specifically. And I help the entrepreneurs do it, but I also help the corporate teams do it. And I've really liked doing that because my brain is so strategic and I'm really good at the ideas. So I like to go in. I want to know exactly what you're offering. I want to know what your business model looks like. I want to know what your marketing strategy looks like. I can take all that and say, okay, here's how you're going to show up to the trade shows, to the networking events, to the chamber, to the whatever, right? And you need to be getting into these spaces, and let's look at your messaging for this specific audience, right? And then when you're done that event, we're going to book another session or another workshop with your team to debrief. Let's develop the follow-up systems. Let's figure out what this all looks like. And 9 times out of 10, when I work with business owners or the sales teams, they say to me, they're like, Sarah, we know this stuff, but we weren't thinking about it.
Absolutely.
Right? Like you brought our attention to these things, like these tiny little nuances that matter.
Yeah.
If I go in and I say, hey, I'm a life coach for women over 50, cool. Most people know what that means.
Yeah.
Right? But if I go into a space and I'm like, I help women step into their divine power and they become unicorns. And you're like, what? Right? So it's like that little messaging change. If I go into a space of women who are woo-woo-y and they understand that feminine power and being a unicorn, that'll resonate with them. If I go to the Chamber of Commerce and I say that, my ROI is going to be 0 because no one knows what I'm saying. Right? So it's those little messaging changes and then being able to audit, like this is what worked and what didn't. Right? So like I love hosting the events. That's really awesome because I get to actually physically connect business owners together. I currently host the fastest growing group for women in Gainesville. I'm planning a 200-person event for the fall.
Let's go.
I know, I'm so excited. Yeah, and I really like the events. Like that's like the cute, sexy part about what I do, and it's really Instagram worthy and stuff. But over here, this strategy part, this is driving hundreds of thousands of dollars for businesses, and that matters because that's how you literally and figuratively keep the lights on.
Yeah.
Because I get some people, especially women, they'll come to me and they're like, well, Sarah, I don't care about profit. I'm like, well, you should. Right? Because you can't serve your mission if you don't make money. So I understand that you might not be in it for money, but you can't serve the people you want to serve, and you can't, step into God's purpose for you if you're not making any money. Because then you can't keep your lights on, you can't pay your bills, and you're going to eventually have to shut the business down and go work a corporate job for somebody else for the money.
Yeah.
It's okay to say that you're there to make money.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Making money is... Man, that's very important. I don't get it twisted when I say don't do something just for money. Like even like now, I still do things because I need to fund what I'm pursuing. I need to fund what I'm doing, and I always like to talk about it a little bit, not too much. Just don't be afraid. Like sometimes you gotta have like a fucking day job to pay for these pursuing aspirations and everything. And some people just like. I feel like some people just want to go straight into like, oh, I'm making money off this only, and I want to talk about this, and that's cool. Don't get me wrong, you're gonna get there, but for some of us are not as fortunate as others that you gotta really put in some groundwork and stack up some bread and then invest into what you're doing. Like even what we're doing now is like, I don't make no money off this podcast, but I am putting money behind this from my own pocket to hopefully one day do what I do. You know what I mean? Yeah,
and if you do something that you're not totally lit up by to fund that thing, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like if you have a part-time job as a server, or if you do work a full-time corporate job to fund the dream, I think that there's too many people saying that that's not okay, and like you can't talk about it, and that's not real entrepreneurship, but it's like...
It is. It is. That's the truth behind it.
Yeah. You're your own investor at that point. And I think that's totally okay. But it's also okay to make that money, to make that profit when you finally get there. Because in your core values, you always are going to keep the people above the profit. You're always going to say, I care about people more than I care about profit. But that's not to say that profit doesn't matter. Because if I want to, like, I'm an animal person, right? If I want to be able to support the local animal shelter, I'm going to need money to do that.
Absolutely.
Right? The thing that the animal shelter needs is money. So I can donate the blankets and the food. First of all, I still need to buy those, right? But they need money. So if I really want to show up and support them financially,
gotta get some bread.
There needs to be money coming. I need to make money to do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But I'm not saying that I'm going to get that money in a way that doesn't align with who I am. It's not going to be unethical. I'm not,
Yeah, you'd be surprised. The thing about business, like me being like trying to be a better person. The thing about business is like, damn, business is so grimy sometimes. You like when I was doing the moving thing, and I bring that up a lot just because that's the one business that I was invested in for like the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Is that I could have just been like, oh yeah, it's this much, and I'm gonna set like I'm gonna just get some random dudes and just go do this fucking job, and this is your bill, and overcharge and do this, and I would have made more money than I probably made then, but did I feel good about it? No, but that's just me. Like you'd be surprised. Oh, you won't be surprised how many people don't see it that way. Some people are like they just see it for the money, and that's cool, like you said. But at the end of the day, if you want to have a reputation, you got to think about the people before the profit. But not to say don't let go of that profit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
because it's still profitable. It's still profitable. It's just one thing that I learned, right, was that I don't know. You tell me how you feel about this. Is like I've always saw things as if you want to have like a local business and be able to pay your people well, or have like a huge business, right, but have to pay people like what $12 an hour to do like hard labor work and this and that.
Right.
And there's a sacrifice in both, and there's a way to do it the right way. I personally don't know exactly how to do it.
Right.
But a lot of the times the people, the way they grow their business the fastest is by doing that, being able to pay somebody $15 an hour to fucking go work labor all day long. And that's going to be cheap for them, of course. So they're making a profit off of it. But me, I just couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. And I was like, because I'd like to pay my guys good because I'm out there with them.
Yeah.
I was out there with it. And I'm like, damn, these dudes working hard as shit. And I'm like, you got to get them food and this and that. I tried to treat them as best as I could. And that wasn't affecting me too much. But I was also like, can I do this forever? You know what I mean? Or and then obviously after that, I lost the passion for it, and that was that. But, but yeah, did you ever have any problems with like just being a woman and like being an entrepreneur? Do you like okay, tell me how you feel about people saying a woman entrepreneur versus you're just an entrepreneur. I'm curious.
Some people have very strong opinions about that. I would say my opinion on that's not super strong. Like if you want to call me a woman entrepreneur, that's fine. I think it's more how you treat me, because as a woman, we get treated different. 100%. That's just a fact, right? I show up to a networking event and it's like, oh, that's cute. You're a fitness coach, or they just assume that you don't make that much money, or they assume that, you have a husband supporting you. The amount of times that I've had someone assume that there's a man behind me funding what I'm doing, it's borderline insulting, right? Kind of like, you've seen the truck I drive.
Yeah.
That's like someone saying, oh, is that your husband's truck? Like, no, bitch, it's mine. So I think that there's these little things that people say without thinking twice about it that is a little bit rude, where they think that we're not as capable. They do know it, yeah. I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt a little bit, but
I do that too. I like to think people don't, but man, these motherfuckers out here be acting up. You know what I mean?
They do be acting up. Yeah. And actually, you know what? The biggest issue that I've had is saying that I do something specifically for women. A lot of men get butthurt about that. Well, why? Yeah. Why are you excluding men? It's like, first of all, I'm not excluding anyone. I'm creating a safe space for women to come together and connect to each other because they don't have that space. Right? So my space, and this was in fitness and now in networking, the space that I build is a safe space for women of different ages, different races, different business types to come together to get connected to each other and to do business together. Men have plenty of space to do that. Men can go to any networking event.
Yeah.
Y'all don't need a safe space, no offense, because you can go into any existing space and that's your space.
Yeah.
Right? And I love networking with men. I really do. Because I go to the chamber and I go to all different kinds of like co-ed events. I have a lot of really great referral partners that are men. I do the corporate consulting with men, right? It's nothing against men. It's just that women have a bigger need for that space, right? Where they feel safe to say, here's what I do. Because of what we just talked about. Women are treated differently in entrepreneurship. They're treated different in life, but there's just a bigger need for that kind of space.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I definitely understand what you're saying. I never saw no problem with it. I kind of just see things, you know me, I see things for what they are. It's like, I see you trying to build what you're trying to build. Even But like even that whole thing that you just do it with women, I don't even see that as a problem. Just because I actually saw your video and saw, I think, what did I see? Somebody that does like embroidery.
Yep.
And
She does y'all stuff.
Yeah, she does our stuff now.
Yeah.
So and that was, I wasn't even there. I just saw it online. You know what I mean? And I think that's the cool thing about it. Like you could still benefit off it. Obviously, you're not gonna be there in person type shit, but it's still very beneficial. It's still yeah. There's a lot of people that have stronger opinions than I do. I'm very just kind of like, I don't really care too much because. But there are some people that have just stronger opinions. I just wanted to see if you were like not one of those, but just kind of what you thought about it. You know what I mean?
I mean, my opinions are typically strong, but I just think that if men were more supportive, and typically in my space.
You don't think men are supportive?
Well, in my space, I really don't deal with the haters or like the people who throw shade or the people who feel safe coming to me with their bullshit. You know me. I don't give off the persona where I'm a safe place for you to complain or think that I'm going to just let you tell me about myself. No, bitch, we're not doing that. So like, I really don't deal with that too much.
Yeah.
Right. So the people in my life, men and women, are very supportive. But I think in general, if men were more supportive of these spaces for women, so instead of saying like, oh, you're excluding us. Yeah. If you said, hey.
That's kind of hard.
Right. They say it to me all the time.
Yeah, that's kind of that.
They say it to me all the time. You're excluding a whole half of the population. False, right? Because if you were just supportive of this space and you said, we love that you have this women only networking group and, you know, how can we support you in all these things? We're still referring to male owned businesses, right? Like if someone in that women only group is saying, hey, I need a mover. And I say, hey, I know Albert. I'm not saying, oh, well, he's not a woman. We can't refer him.
Yeah.
That's not what we're saying. Right? It's
let them know that because
some people don't understand that. Right. Yeah. We can still do business together. We can still be referral partners. And if you're looking for a networking group, I'll invite you to the other places that I go. It might not be something that I host, but I'm so well connected that I can give you 10 networking groups that you can go to. And I'm going to be there with you. You know what I mean? So like, to me, it's not excluding anyone. I still am going to hook the men up with referral partners. I'm still going to be like, hey, here's this event or here's this person that you can, you know, talk to.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's just people want to just pick at you. You know what I mean? Yes. It's like, let me see if I can get out of it. You know what I'm saying? Do you think that women are like, there's anything holding women back from doing anything in entrepreneurship? Or do you think it's, I don't want to say equal because nothing is equal in this world. Just there's so many factors of not making things equal. But do you think like, how do you feel about somebody saying like, oh, well, I'm a woman and I can't do this, or I'm a woman and I can't do that. Like it's harder for me and this and that. How do you feel about that?
I think that the number one thing holding women back is women. Right? Like we get in our own heads. We have our own stories created about what we can and cannot do. But the reality of it is women are really fucking powerful. Right? And to be pro-woman is not to be anti-man. Right? But women are really fucking powerful and they just don't believe that. Right? There is some ingrained masculinity in women. There's some old school archaic ideas of what gender roles are ingrained in women. And when they show up in those stories, they're holding themselves back, right? So, of course, there's a patriarchy and there are men's beliefs that are like, quote unquote, holding us back. But it's our own belief systems that hold us back, right? Like, I just understand that I'm really fucking powerful and that I can show up in this space and be that powerful person. It doesn't matter that I'm a woman. It doesn't matter that I don't make $1 million. It doesn't matter that my business hasn't been in existence as long as them. I'm still going to show up in who I am and know that I'm an expert at what I do. Yeah. And that's how I'm going to show up. I'm not faking anything, right? I know that I'm showing up authentically.
Absolutely.
And I know that I have something to give. I know that I can offer value to these people through my expertise. And the confidence really just comes from doing it. A lot of people feel like they want the confidence before they can do something. But really the confidence comes from action. And you're going to have to fake the funk. You know, you're going to have to fake the funk a little bit.
That's for men too, though. Like,
absolutely. This is for people in general,
people
right?
In general,
You really do have to fake the funk a little bit. But when you start to show up in your authentic self, you show up and you say, here's what I'm good at. That part I'm not faking. I know I'm an expert at this. Right? So I might have just started selling it 6 months ago. That doesn't matter. Right? And then you start to have all these positive interactions, and that builds your self-esteem, that builds your confidence in that space.
Yeah.
And it's not to say you're going to not have events or meetings or interactions that suck.
Yeah.
But it's just to say that the positive ones are going to build that confidence.
Yeah.
And that's really how you show up, right?
Yeah. I've met some and I see a lot of like awesome like women entrepreneurs. Like shout out to my lady entrepreneurs out there. I think that's awesome to see, just because for anybody that is thinking these kind of things, I hope that like you can look at them and be like, I can do this too. You know what I'm saying? And because like you said, sometimes it's just these own thoughts that really hold you back from doing this. You just said that you just sucky events and this and that sometimes.
Yeah.
Tell me, have you ever had something where you were like, damn, this didn't turn out how I wanted to?
Hosting or attending?
Hosting, attending, whatever. Was it just like, I guess let's talk about like a little bit about, have you ever had any quote unquote personal failures in your business that you're like, dang, I wish it would have done better, or I wish it would, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know,
feel you.
yeah, I know. I try not to beat myself up too much about it, but I have something like, damn, this could have been better. You know what I mean? But it's a learning experience. But I want to hear something more about you.
These things feed into what we just talked about, right? All these like mindset blocks and all these like problematic beliefs that stop you from doing something. And I'm like an infamous overthinker. I will ruminate on something that I said 7 years to someone at the grocery store. Like I will just overthink the hell out of something. But
what do you mean by, can you hand me that banana over there?
Yeah, like stupid things. I'm like, did I really just say that?
Yeah.
And like I will think about it. Literally, I think about, there's this one, I'm not going to say what it is, but there's this one thing that I said to a student when I was in Kansas.
Okay.
And it wasn't anything like atrocious, and it wasn't even like bad or unprofessional, but I'm just like, why did I say that? You know? And like that was 7, almost 8 years ago. And I still just like will randomly think about it. Like when I'm in the shower, or when I'm like laying in bed.
Like I should have said something.
Right. So I am an infamous overthinker. Okay. So hosting events, I've been generally pretty happy with how they've gone. Yeah. I don't think that there's anything where I'm like, that was a failure. It was just like, okay, here's something I'm going to tweak next time. Yeah. Now attending things, I've gone home and I'm like, what the actual F was that? Like, what was I doing? Right. Yeah. And usually it's because my energy was not there, or maybe in my personal life I was distracted, or maybe I just didn't want to go, but I tried to force myself to go. So it was just kind of off. There has to be a lot of forgiveness. And it's just like, okay, that one sucked. You know, like the way I introduced myself made no sense. And I stuck to this one person who I knew instead of talking to new people. And like, I forgot business cards, and, you know, like there's all these things where I'm just like, what the hell? Yeah. But then it's like, okay, I try to take a step back. Here's why it didn't go so great. So next time I feel like I'm just not up to going to an event, I'm probably just not going to go. Because
listen to your
right. Yeah. And like with women, with the way that our cycles are, I mean, there's just parts of our cycle where our energy is lower. You know what I mean? There's parts where we really just need to take a break, but we try to push and push and push and push because of this masculine energy that we think we need to just, you know,
hustle.
Yes. And I will say I am like that grind all the time, like work 24/7 or you're a lazy piece of shit. Like, no, we're trying to heal that part.
I like
that.
Like, I like that side of me, but I also hate that side of me sometimes because I'm very like, sometimes I put too much on my damn schedule. I'm like, man, how the fuck am I going to do this all day? You know what I mean? Or like I just, or I'm at home and it's like, it's time to relax. And I'm like, but I could be doing some research on this, or I could be doing it. And I start doing it. It doesn't fuck up, but it's very like, it's very, it can start affecting your personal life. Yeah. And I think that's I understand that there's this whole thing about balance and this and that, but it's harder than it sounds. Like, I've been saying that whole balance shit for like years, and I'm like, I still don't have no fucking balance. You know what I mean? No. And I'm just like, if y'all out there know the balance to it, let me know.
If you know the trick.
Yeah, if you know the trick. But I think working out is a good one. Obviously, like what I do is very basic about working out, so sometimes I need to do something outside of working out. Yeah. But just being able, just enjoying what you do kind of helps that out a little bit. I was listening to a podcast with Kevin Hart on it the other day, and he was just like, he was saying life gets crazy, but like the one thing that gets him away from is his family, of course. And he always just like, he's like, I take that time to relax. Like when I'm chilling out with my family, with my daughter and this and that, like that's his time to be like away from everything else. Turns off the phone and everything. I think turning off your phone is very important. I don't know if you do that.
I don't. I probably should start, but I use the do not disturb.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
I use the do not disturb.
Too.
Sometimes my phone be on do not disturb for like 4 or 5 days in a row.
Oh wow.
I mean, I still check it. I don't know. It's weird.
You just don't like
ADHD is a weird thing. Yeah. ADHD is a weird thing. I have a hard time actually turning it off. I'm not like, I get why people do it. I don't.
I get kind of crazy though.
And like, what if something happens? The last time I turned my phone off, I was at my parents' house and a pipe literally exploded and it was like raining from the ceiling and I have no phone. Because it's off and, you know, I was trying to have a self-care night and now all of a sudden the house is underwater.
Those moments are like the ones that make you not want to turn your phone off.
I haven't turned my phone off since, and that was 3 years ago. But I think that like there are two extremes where it's like grind all the time. And then this other idea where it's like, well, only work 2 hours a day and only do the things that feel in alignment. If you don't want to work, don't want to work. Bitch, I don't want to work for like 3 weeks in a row. Should I not work for 3 weeks in a row? That's crazy. No. Right? So I think there's going to be seasons where you're grinding and you're working more and you're in that masculine energy. And then there's going to be seasons where you can coast a little bit. I think that we need to normalize, like, it's okay. Like this whole, like, we're not doing the hustle culture anymore. I don't totally buy into that.
Yeah.
Because there does need to be a season of hustle. There
yeah.
has to be a season of hustle. But there also needs to be, like, for me, if I'm with my family, I try to not be on my phone, right? So there's these times where I really try to be present in that moment. Even if I'm just taking a night to myself to like Netflix and chill with my cats, I really need to just enjoy, right? Like, yeah, I'm a crazy cat lady, but that's what I really need to be present for because that's going to give me that reset.
Yeah.
But I used to feel so guilty for that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm just sitting here Netflixing for, 3 hours. I should be writing the sales page, sending emails, doing calls, sending text messages, or I have all these messages on Instagram that haven't been answered.
Yeah.
It's okay to take that time because you're always going to have stuff to do.
Yeah.
And I think that you have to learn to not guilt yourself for taking that time off. And like, even with your workouts, right? That's still part of the physical hustle and grind. So are you really taking time off?
Yeah.
Yes and no.
Yeah. Well,
right? Like there really does need to be downtime.
Yeah, definitely when, like, I'm sure, there's always something to do. You know what I mean? Especially right now, the thing that's helping me a lot, not necessarily like downtime, but something that helps me relax, especially when I'm coaching the kids and I'm coaching like the few students that I have. And I love it. Like I really have I've always tried to make the transition slowly as you've seen. But now like I've taken some kind of I've always loved the boxing game.
Yeah.
And this thing is just this is like the year for my family, our brand to really do something because I'm like 1,000% behind what I'm doing. Yeah. And I just love it. Like I really enjoy it. It's crazy because I'm always learning more. But I'm looking at it from a perspective of a coach. It's like you see different things that you can work with the kids and you can work with the students and I love doing that. You know what I mean? And it doesn't and even like when you can ask my brothers, like when I'm outside of like working out with them and stuff, I'm like on my phone looking at different coaches, how they coach and how they do this. And I'm always trying to learn something new from them. You know what I mean? But not to say I need to turn off my phone. Since I use the do not disturb, but the turning off the phone, like you said, it's kind of tough when you're either someone's always gonna call you. Yeah. Especially on these busier weeks. Like my brother's fight is next week, and I'm like, dude, I can't turn off my phone. You know what I mean?
But I think that when you have a week like that, right, you need to schedule in then as soon as that fight is done on Thursday, being able to say, okay, Friday is a day to really just do whatever you want. So if that's sit on the couch and do nothing, that's cool. If you want to work out, that's cool. If you want to go out and, on a dinner date with your girl, that's cool. Yeah. Right. But being able to say, this is the hustle week and I'm going to overwork this week. So I'm going to make up for that by having this day off.
No doubt.
The day after the fight, the phone I'm not answering. Yeah. Because you don't need me. The next fight's not for another however many weeks. Yeah. I'll call you tomorrow. Right. Or I'll just even call you tonight. I just need the morning. Yeah. Or I had this session with 10 kids. I'm going to enjoy my lunch break. That's only 1 hour. Yeah. So just being able to say, I'm going to have a lunch break. I'm not going to scroll Instagram. I'm not going to answer messages. I'm not going to sell. I'm not going to market. I'm not going to be connected to people. I'm just going to literally enjoy my lunch. That in of itself is that balance of I just need to
that's true.
decompress because I just had 10 children in the gym, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
And I have been really good with that. Like if I was just in Phoenix speaking at that summit. I was there for like 4 days. When I get back, you're not going to hear from me for like 2 days. My schedule is blocked off. I'm not taking meetings. I'm not answering emails because I know myself and I need a mental decompression time. So I'm an ambivert, right? So an ambivert is an extrovert and an introvert. I'm literally, yeah, it's a new term for you, right? So it's a psychological term.
Okay.
Because I'm literally 49-51. That's my split.
Which is a 51?
Extrovert. So
say that again for me.
An ambivert.
Ambivert. That's
so when you take the Myers-Briggs personality test, they test you for your extrovert versus introvert, right?
Okay.
I'm literally 49-51, like split right down the middle.
Really?
So when I'm with people, I'm energized. I love being around people. I love talking. I love socializing. I love dancing. I love like whatever, right? But as soon as I'm not around people, my social battery is at 0. So I'm energized when I'm with you, but I need that alone time.
Yeah.
My sister is a textbook extrovert. She can be with people 24/7 and her social battery stays up here.
Oh, really?
She loves it. She's constantly around people. She's constantly doing stuff and that energizes her.
I think
I'm not that way.
Yeah, I think it also depends on the people though.
It does.
Because if you're around like I'm not much of like going out like kind of person.
Yeah.
And I've gone out with like my boys and stuff, and with my boys like we're cool in there, we're chilling. Like I make sure that I have a good group of people around me. Like whether it's even it's just 2 or 3 people, like those are my people. But if I come across somebody that I'm just like I'm not really rocking with your vibe, not because like I'm not gonna lie, I'm one of those people that if I meet you and I'm like, you give me bad vibes, I'm not really gonna mess with you too much.
You don't need to.
Yeah, and so that in those moments, I kind of just like, I don't really want to. You know what I mean? Like socialize with you because, not to say like I don't know somebody and I'm not. I mean, I guess you could say like you do judge someone a little bit sometimes.
It's just a gut feeling.
Yeah, gut feeling, and I kind of just go with it. I'm kind of and I don't know if you know, but it's kind of it's hard to like when you see that in someone, you're just like, I can't take it back now. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm feeling it now.
I feel how I feel.
Yeah, no, but it's happened before. It's happened where like I've met someone and I'm just like, I don't really like you, but then over time I'm like, oh, okay, like I fuck with you. But it takes some time to do that. Being in whatever you just said, that I'm ambivert.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way because I thrive on being around good people that I can have a good conversation with. Even I ain't gonna lie, even some people that I can't, I just talk their head off all day long. And I don't like last night I was working with somebody new and he was just in the truck with me all night and I was talking to him. I'm like, I don't even know if this dude wants to talk to me, but I don't feel like I've lost that sense of like awkwardness a long time ago. Like I don't feel like I have awkward moments because I don't see it that way. You may be feeling awkward, but I'm kind of just like, oh, okay. Like, what do you want to do now? Like, I'm not tripping about nothing.
Right.
Because, I mean, I guess it kind of just comes out when with your growth. You know what I mean?
I mean, situations really are only awkward if you feel awkward, right? Exactly. Like, you make them awkward or not. Yeah. But I think, like, even with, like, my mom and my little sister, like, are 2 of my favorite people in the whole world, right? I love all of my family, but, like, I can be around them, too, the whole day. And it's not that I don't love them. It's not that, the energy is off. Like we could be doing something where, I'm like totally into it, totally loving it. And even though they're my people, I still need that alone time. I still need time where I'm unbothered and like, I just don't want to talk, and coming from I come from a family of 7. Not all of us are personalities like me, but a lot of my siblings have big personalities like me. There's a lot of nieces and nephews now, and my parents are big personalities.
Wait, break that down. 7. How is that?
I'm one of 5 plus my 2 parents.
So 1 of 5 kids?
Yeah.
What were you the youngest, oldest? Oh, you're right in the middle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's 2 older and 2 younger.
Yeah, so I have an older brother, an older sister, a younger brother, and a younger sister.
That's what's up.
Yeah, they're the shit. I absolutely love my siblings.
And they're all in Philly?
3 of them are in Pennsylvania, and then my little brother's in Los Angeles, and I'm here.
There you go.
And my parents are still back in Philly.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
That's what's up.
And 3 of the 5 of us have kids. So me and my little brother are the only 2 without kids. So I have a lot of nieces and nephews.
Oh, how do you like that?
Oh my God, I love it. Being an aunt is my favorite thing in the whole world.
You're a big family person, huh?
I am. Yeah. Like, even though I live here and I'm physically removed,
Yeah.
like, I'm FaceTiming, calling, and texting like every day. And I'm the sibling who's like, hey, so and so's birthday's today. Like, don't forget to text them. Or, like, hey, haven't talked to you in a while. Or, like, hey, you should probably call mom and dad. Like,
That's what's up.
yeah, like, I'm kind of that sibling.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
It's there's not a lot of people. I've every time like working with my brother, we go and meet new people and stuff. They're like, you guys are brothers?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we're brothers. Like what? Like, and we always now I know when people say that is because they don't have a relationship like that with their brother. And I'm like, why? Like, do you guys like hate each other or something? And she's like, no, we just don't get along like this and that. And it's understanding. A lot of the times I used to think like, why don't you? But it's also like, people grow up different, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a big age gap where like you don't really experience the same things as your other brother and your sister, and you guys just never found nothing to connect you guys. Seeing us, we've always done the boxing thing, so it's always something that brings us back together.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the same thing that takes us apart. You know what I mean? Like that's we don't always have the great chemistry in the gym and this and that, but it's like I love it because that's where we work on it, you know. And then we come out here and we try to separate away from it, but it's hard to, especially living with them. And honestly, me personally, I wouldn't want to be doing nothing else but doing this with them. You know what I mean? That's what's up, though. I like that. Like I said, a lot of people don't see that, don't see what it takes to have a good relationship with your siblings, because it's not easy either.
Well, no, I mean, you really do need to have a lot of self-awareness, right? Like for my little sister is like my soulmate. You know how they say you have multiple soulmates, right? Like she is my person. I am the other woman in her relationship. Like her fiance just knows that like I'm going to call all the time. Like she helps me out. She calls me, I call her, you know, like when we go out to the bar, I'm probably holding my sister's hand. Like not to sound like a total creep, but like that my sister's just my person, right?
That's what's up.
But I also know that I could never live with my sister. And I know that like when we need time apart, we need time apart because we both have very big personalities, and she can drive me up a damn wall. Like she can drive me crazy, but I know I can do the same thing to her. You know what I mean? And I will be like so mad at her. Like I am not talking to you for the rest of the day. Like we're ready to throw hands. And then in an hour, she'll be like, you want Chick-fil-A?
Oh my God.
And I'm
that's
like,
so funny.
I'm trying to be mad at you, but yes, I want chicken tenders.
That's so funny because literally my brothers and I do the same thing. Like we'll get on each other's nerves. I remember when my brother and I were trying to do like a pressure washing business, and we were trying to do that, and I don't know what the fuck we were arguing about, but something got us caught up in an argument. Yeah. And I came downstairs and I was like, bro, if you need something, just text me this and that. And then like later, we just know we don't get too like emotional about things, but a simple text is like, hey bro, like you said, like, hey, you trying to get some food or what's up? And we'll just go and just forget about it. And that's one thing that that sometimes people try to that don't understand. Like it's okay to just let shit go sometimes, you know? Like you just gotta let it go. And
well, especially the petty stuff, right? Like
especially the petty stuff.
Right, we're fighting over we're fighting over the fact that like you yelled at my cat or like I don't even know, you wore my shirt or something so stupid. It's not a fundamentally serious argument. Now, if we're talking about like serious trauma, different story.
Yeah, definitely.
But as long as you have the self-awareness of like, these are the things that we can and cannot do together, or as soon as I start to feel this way, I'm just going to take a break, or, you know, we can talk about these things, or maybe these topics are off limits. There's going to be some family members, we don't talk about race or politics, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, that's okay. My family's not like that, but there are people that are in my life that like, here's the topics that are off limits. Or like my sister, perfect example. We're never going to live together ever because I know that we will kill each other.
She's older than you?
No, she's a year younger than me.
Oh, okay. Oh, so y'all went to the same school and stuff together?
Yeah, she was a year below me in grade school.
That's dope.
Yeah, so her birthday is the day after mine, exactly a year later.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang, imagine if it landed on the same day. That would have been tight.
Well, my mom, it was my first birthday, and my mom actually was starting to go into labor, and she said, absolutely not. She's like, I'll go to the hospital tomorrow. She said, it's Sarah's first birthday. I'm not going into labor today. Like, we will get this baby out tomorrow.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah, so, you know, being close in age, I mean, helps. But even with like my older brother and sister, there's just a lot of self-awareness. I know that my brother doesn't like spontaneous visits to his house. Don't just show up to my brother's house and not tell him you're coming, right? Yeah. So like, I'm just going to call him. Like, I know that's how he is, and I'm just going to respect that.
It's like you said, that self-awareness of like, respect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just being able to respect, as it, like growing up, like obviously you've seen them in your whole life, so you think you can get away with anything. But like in the real world, you gotta learn to respect people's boundaries. I'm like, oh yeah, don't fuck with them in the morning. Like they're not that morning person. You know what I mean? Or don't you know what ticks them off? Like, why are you gonna say that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you know, like why are you pushing it? Like, you know what I mean? Like what are you trying to get at? Just get mad, and it's not gonna help nobody.
Yeah.
We had to learn that a lot. You know what I'm saying? Being just guys in my family, we've learned that so many times. Just letting shit go. And I mean, I'm not saying we're perfect or nothing. We still have our complications.
Oh, of course.
But I try my best to just let shit go.
Yeah.
When it doesn't need to be held on to. You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, you kind of pick and choose, especially with family.
Yeah.
Because it's like with friends. Not that this is right or wrong, but you get to kind of just like write friends off if you want. You don't always get to write your family off that easily. But I think if you respect those boundaries and like you understand that like everyone in your family had their own experience.
Yeah.
Right. And everyone has their own form of trauma. And some people are going to deal with that trauma. Some people are not. Yeah. And that your relationship with each family member is going to be different. Like, because I think a lot of times we just like, well, we grew up in the same family. This is how we are. Yeah. No. Yeah. My relationship with my older brother and my older sister is different than my younger brother and my younger sister. And not collectively, but individually.
Yeah. I find out like growing up, like I found a way that like I can communicate with my middle brother. And then I found a way to communicate with my oldest brother because like you said, they're not the same person. Right. So you can't expect to be like the same. Like, I'm not saying like, you know, change like character. It's like change my personality. No. It's just different way of speaking to somebody. Like, you know what I mean?
It's just respecting that relationship is different.
It's different. Yeah.
We have our own special relationship, right? Like I have my own special relationship with my older brother that my sister doesn't have with him. And they have their own thing together, right? They have their own private conversations. I have my own private conversations with him. You know, here's how I operate in this relationship with my older brother. And then here's how I operate in the relationship with my younger sister. They're each their own special relationship. I love them both dearly. Yeah. But I can't treat my older brother like I treat my younger sister. Yeah. Because they're different. And the relationships are different. And they need different things.
Did you ever think about going into business with any of your siblings?
Absolutely not. Never.
Why not?
They know I love them to death, but they also know I would never do business with any of them. My dad and my sister actually flipped a house together recently.
Okay. So they do business together. Oh, they're trying.
Yeah. I mean, they successfully did it. I 100% was against it. And they knew that. Yeah. I just think that, like I said, there's a lot of big personalities. I just think it's a tricky thing. And I know my family's personalities. I also know my personality. I can be hard to deal with. Yeah, so I would much rather have someone that I pay and I have complete control over in a working relationship and we have no personal relationship, right? No. I love my family, absolutely not. When my dad and my sister were flipping this house, them two and my mom were arguing over a light fixture. They couldn't agree on this. Couldn't even tell you which light fixture it was. Yeah. My dad says, "Sarah, I have a question about," I said, "Don't even finish the question." I said, "I will not give you my input on this light fixture." I said, "Absolutely, I don't want any parts of it." Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm so church and state when it comes to that. I'm good.
Yeah. When the moving business, I did by myself. Hulu helped me.
Yeah.
With the work aspect of it, but he wasn't too involved in the business side of it. And then even with the whole training the kids, my family knows when I kind of get into something, like I'm all in. Yeah. And what happens, I feel like not just with my family, but like with anybody, even like a business partner that you want to go in, you'll feel super into it, and when they start fading away, you're like, what the fuck? Like, why are you not doing nothing? You know what I'm saying? Right. And then I personally don't like talking to people like that. I don't like being like, come on, we gotta get our stuff together. But obviously, unless it's my family, we know how to talk to each other. But I don't want to be responsible for somebody else like not being able to hold their part. You know what I mean? So that's why I've never gone into business with nobody but my family. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And like when you talk about business partners, you can trust that your brother's not going to take off with all your money or, be laundering things behind the scenes or messing with, because that is very real.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
To me, I would just rather not have a business partner at all. And I would rather just have contractors that help support me in these specific things. I would rather have a contractor that supports me on the website. I could have someone who does the sales, the marketing, but they're all going to be contractors under me. So there's a clear hierarchy. Yeah. And, you know, it's not to say that with my family, because my sister's an entrepreneur as well. My dad has been getting into the real estate thing. It's not to say that I'm not going to support them. Yeah. Like if my sister needed my help with something, like for actually a perfect example, I was helping her with her social media content.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I'll help you and I'll support you. And I might need your help putting on this event. Right? Like for my 200 person event in October, I called them and I was like, hey, clear your schedule. I'm paying for you to come to Georgia because I need your help. That's different.
Yeah, because you're, like you said, you're contracting them to come out and help.
Right. Or it's just like we're supporting each other. There's still a very clear hierarchy. When I'm supporting my sister in her business, she's in charge.
Yeah.
It's her business. She gets to tell me how she wants it done.
Absolutely.
If I'm not okay with it, then I'm not going to help her. But I'm there to support. So I'm going to do it the way that she wants to do it. Being business partners is very different.
Yeah, because it's a commitment. This is just kind of like a simple, like, one day kind of thing.
Exactly.
I remember growing up when I didn't understand what it was to support.
Yeah.
I used to get jealous and be like, oh, what the fuck, like, you know, why is he doing this or why is he doing that? Especially with my brothers always doing the boxing stuff.
Yep.
I would be like, what the fuck? Like, why my parents always talking so high of them and this and that? But as you learn to support people, not just your family, but your friends, you start seeing there's so much more benefits in supporting than being such a fucking hater sometimes. You know what I mean?
Well, it's your own fears and trauma responses, I think, that make you jealous. And it's like your confidence in yourself is wavering. But if you can just show up and be like, you know what? I'm genuinely just happy for you that you had this win. Good karma is going to come around. Like you can't really bring good things in your life if you're being jealous of other people for getting the things that you want. You know, like in business, I have friends that will have a $50,000 launch. Yeah. They'll open the cart. They'll sell it to a few people. They make $50,000 in that launch. Yeah. That's so wonderful. I'm not over here like, why am I not doing those numbers this month? Right. I'm over there like, yes, queen. Like, yes, good for you. Like, let's go out. We're going to pop bottles. We're going to go to dinner. We're going to celebrate, because your win has nothing to do with me. Yeah. I'm over here doing my thing and I'll have that win eventually.
Absolutely.
But if I'm over here like, damn, how did she get 50K and I didn't?
That shit gonna hold you back.
Yeah. How do you ever expect to have your own wins if you're constantly hating on other people? It's just not good karma.
Yeah. And that comes with everything. Like even with the podcast, this whole thing, I'm like, I listen to podcasts and I try to take inspiration from this and that. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm gonna do my own thing. Like I'm gonna try to do my own thing. At the end of the day, no one can mimic your own personality. So I'm going to come in here and just, you know, talk to people how I talk to people. I'm not going to try to be like, oh, like, you know, like nothing too crazy. Yeah. You see all these things on the internet, like people want that controversy, people want this, but I just want to keep it real. Yes. You know what I mean? Keep it real. Just, and it's easy to compare so much shit, but there's moments where you kind of just like, all right, snap out of it. It's time to get back to work. You know what I'm saying? And you kind of, it's like the self-confidence that you kind of have in entrepreneurship to own what you do. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't, like you said, it doesn't come just like out of nowhere. It comes with experience. It comes with doing something. And I've got a lot of experience in doing that. Even with, if you met me maybe like, I want to say like 3-4 years ago, I wouldn't be talking to you how I talk to you now. Yeah. I would be like, probably like, oh, okay. And like, oh, okay. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But, I've met some wonderful people that I opened up to, and then I was like, I'm an open book, and you can teach me whatever you want to teach me. And I just learned from people how to communicate, how to talk to customers, and I just translated that into my own life. And even you can like, my brothers always, like, they saw it all happen, and they're like, what the fuck? When did he start talking so much? Or when did he start becoming his own person? And that just comes with growing up. You know what I mean? And I'm so grateful for the people that led me down this path, because what happens is, sometimes you get led down the wrong path with the wrong people. Yeah. Luckily, I was put with God blessed me with the people that they blessed me with. Right. And yeah, I'm happy how it turned out, I guess. And I'm still working on it, right? I'm still working on it. I'm not the best conversationist, but I am. I like to have conversation. You hear him?
A little bit.
Yeah. If you guys
I
heard that
have
on the
to
mic,
not look at him.
yeah, if you guys heard that on the mic, that's Meech. Y'all know who Meech is. That's the little homie over there.
He's the what do they call it? A mascot. He's
our
the mascot
mascot.
for the podcast.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
But I think that it's a great sign of personal growth.
Yeah.
When you can really just say, this is the path that I'm on.
Yeah.
And I can be celebrating other people's things. And, you have to be careful of comparing yourself or being jealous or all these things that are really easy to do. But it's a great sign of personal growth when you can really put a plug in the jealousy, the comparison, right? Like I'm on my timeline over here.
Yeah.
Your wins, your timeline doesn't affect what I'm doing over here, right?
Yeah.
Because we're different people. We have different lifestyles. We have different circumstances, different experiences, and we're also just in different places in business.
Yeah.
Even if we started at the same time, that doesn't automatically mean we have the same trajectory. Right? So it's a great sign of personal growth to be able to do those things.
I had that happen one time. Like I started the moving business with somebody somebody that I knew as well, and he actually told me, he was like, you inspired me to start, and I was like, and I wasn't like jealous or nothing, but I saw his growth and I was like, damn, good for him.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I'm like, I'm happy that he did that. Like I'm happy that he's doing that. And even when I stopped, he kept going. And I'm like, see, that's what you got. That motivates me to be like, okay, on my next adventure, I'm gonna be like if I can inspire one person to keep doing it, because now he's still doing his thing.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, and that came from, I don't want to say me. I like to keep my thoughts to myself about how I feel about me.
Yeah.
But it's also very like, it's cool though. It's cool to see. I'm blessed to be in the position I'm in now. It's for a lot of people wouldn't see it as the greatest, but I see it as the best right now.
Yeah,
like what else?
Absolutely.
What else can I ask for? Do you ever see yourself like? Oh, I mean, I'm sure you do, but when do you, I guess, plan on I don't know, I guess like starting a family and doing all that? Is that something that's on your mind right now, or maybe like in the future? Or I don't know.
Boy,
tell me about it.
I'll tell you about it, because society asks a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, seriously,
yeah,
because people always want to talk about, this is the age to do it, and this is the age to start, and this is, you know what I'm saying? How do you feel about, how old are you?
So I'm 30.
Okay.
So I turned 30 in September.
Okay.
And basically, like the day you turn 30, people are like, cool. So like, what are you doing? When are you getting married? When are you having kids? I'm divorced. I've already been married and divorced. So I'm open to marriage again. I just think that when you are married and divorced by 24 years old, it changes how you view those things.
When did you get married? What age?
22. I was married right before I graduated college. Yeah, and I got divorced. My ex-husband finalized our divorce on my 24th birthday. Yeah, he's a peach. No, actually, we have a great relationship now, but that was a little spiteful. If you're listening to this, it was spiteful. But I think that my views on it are, I don't allow myself to absorb the pressure from other people, especially like my friends who are my age. They put pressure on themselves, some of them, to have a husband and to have kids, or just a significant other. Yeah. Or a lot of them already do. Like a lot of my friends who are my age have kids, or they are married, right? Okay. So like, there is this external pressure. I just don't allow myself to feel that pressure. I want those things. I do think it's somewhere in God's plan for me. Do I see it happening like this year? Probably not. Yeah. And I really love being an aunt. I really, really love being an aunt. And I think that where I'm at right now is I need to focus on certain things that I want to do before I add children to the mix. Yeah. Like there's certain things that I really just want to accomplish. I'm not saying that those things can't be accomplished with children, but I have the option and I have the opportunity to make a conscientious decision about that. So right now I'm good. Yeah. Like right now I'm good. And I love where I'm at right now. Yeah. Would I like to add like a life partner at this point? Yes. I am at the point where I've had enough alone time. I've done my thing and I can do pretty much anything by myself. Yeah. I'm at the point where I just don't want to. But I refuse. And that's something I love about my parents. They don't ever make me feel pressured. My parents don't call me like, when are we getting grandbabies? They're like, are you dating? They're like, you do your thing. Yeah. Like, go make the money. Go build your business. Like, we'll be here when you're ready. Like, they're good. They're chilling. And I think a lot of people get that pressure from their parents. Yeah. I don't. It's more the other people are like, yo, girl, you just turned 30. Like, when are you popping out babies? I'm like, slow your fucking roll, please. I'm good.
Yeah, like I get kind of that not pressure, but I get that those comments and this and that from my parents.
Yep.
I obviously, you know, I'm Mexican, and in the Mexican culture, everybody want to have a baby so damn fast. I'm like, look, I like to. I'm looking at it a little differently. You know, I'm not trying to focus on kids right now. I'm not trying to focus on none of that. Even though it would be a blessing to have. You know what I mean? It's just like you said. Right now, it's just not the moment. But I do get those comments. I do get like, why you guys not married yet? Why you guys not? I'm like, they're like, slow. Let's. Not saying that I don't love like my girl. It's just that it's just not. Like, first of all, it's not financially able. Like, I'm not financially able to support that right now.
Yeah.
So why would I even, you know, have that? Obviously, it's on the radar for the future. Yeah. But it's not on the radar for a couple months from now. But
I think it's becoming more of the norm.
Yeah. What, to not have?
We can speak to like American culture, right? Because it's what we live in.
Yeah.
But it's becoming more of the American culture norm to not have kids by 30. Like, it's the norm to have kids later, and quote unquote later. It could be 32, 33. Like, now it's so normal to be like, okay, I want to establish a business. I want to establish my finances. I want to travel the world. I want to do all these things in my 20s. Right. I want to do all these things in my 20s before having kids. And we're getting married later because dating is a little ghetto, if we're being honest. Like, we're all getting married a little later, and we're all doing these things. And for the people who did it at 23, 24, it's not bad. Yeah. And that's their path, and that worked for them. And to be honest with you, I was on that path, right? Like, I was totally one of those people. I'm like, I'm going to be married and having 2 kids by 25. And I was very much on that path, right? But now being 30, I'm like, girl, thank God that didn't work out. Like, thank God that's not how it went. Yeah. Because my 20s were so polarizing, right? And my 20s, like, that whole decade was huge. Yeah. You're talking like at 20, you're still basically a child, right? Like, I thought I was grown. I thought I had everything figured out. I was a child at 20. I was still in college, right? I was still partying like 4 nights a week and all these things. And then I get married and divorced. Now I'm 24, right? I break my back at 25. I start a business. I start learning about trauma. I start healing these parts of myself. And even in my 20s, after my divorce, I was living with a guy and I had stepkids.
You right? Did? Yeah. You had stepkids?
Yeah. Like, all of these things happened in my 20s. And it was, if I didn't have that learning experience of my 20s, I don't know where I'd be.
Well, you wouldn't be the person you are now.
I really wouldn't. And it's like, I absolutely adored going through what I went through now. It sucked at the time. Hindsight's always 2020. But I love now being 30. Yeah. You know what's so funny? Someone said to me, they're like, well, how long have you been 30? I'm like, well, it can't be more than a year. Yeah. Like, what kind of answer is that? Because I said 30 is my favorite age. Yeah. Right? 30 is my favorite age to date. And I'm glad that things worked out the way they did. And I'm glad that I'm at where I'm at.
Yeah. People see it as like you hit 30 and it's like your life's over. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, your life's just starting. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they act like 30 is a senior citizen.
Yeah. It's crazy because I'm so happy to see people like Gary Vee and things like that to emphasize on like, yo, like, chill out. Like, you got plenty of time to do, like, look at you. Like, when did you start the network? It's like, what, like a year ago maybe? Or how long have you been doing it?
Yeah, it's technically started in 2021. Okay. So it's been 2 years. I started my business when I was 24. Yeah. 25. So like.
But you were able to make that transition later, like in your 20s. So it's like.
See, and I'll probably transition again at some point.
Yeah, and people are afraid of that, I feel like sometimes, which is understandable. Yeah. Transitions are scary. One thing I don't like, and I could say like, kind of not too rough or anything, but I don't like when people, especially young women of like 20 years old, 18, 19, are like, I don't ever want to have no kids. I'm like, I get it, you know, but like you said, you're not even grown enough to understand if you want kids or not.
Yeah. I think that like for me,
and let me just say, I'm not saying like you gotta have kids. Like, that's the traditional way of doing it, but I just don't like that. I'm like, you don't even, you might still be in college and you're saying like, I don't want kids. I'm like, maybe because you see like things that make you not want kids, but you know, you just never know.
I think that they're speaking to how they're speaking to the right now, right? Yeah, there really are. There are some women who really just don't ever want kids, like ever. Yeah. But like even right now, like when you ask me, do I want kids and to get married? Sure, eventually. Right
Yeah.
now, hell no, I don't want children.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But that's me speaking to my circumstance right now. And like when I was 23, I was like, yes, get me pregnant right now, right? And then I was like divorced. And then I went into that like, I'm never having kids.
Yeah.
And my siblings were like, really? Do you think you'll like never have kids? And I'm like,
Yeah.
honestly, at this point, I could see it going that way.
Yeah.
I really could see myself just being the auntie. But I think that that's just how I feel right now. So being open to that changing.
Yeah.
And not feeling this pressure that I have to have kids, being open to like, okay, it's a possibility that I don't have kids.
Yeah.
And I waver, you know?
Yeah, like
but
anything.
like women really need to be given the grace of it's okay if you don't ever want to have kids.
Yeah, that's fine.
When you're 18, 19, 20, your mind's probably going to change. And
Yeah.
but if it doesn't, that's okay.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, even at 30 right now, I'm like a hard pass on kids.
Mm-hmm.
I still have years
But it's
to
like,
decide to have children.
Yeah, and it's like, but your mind is open to it,
Yeah.
right? And it's like some people are not like they
Yeah.
act like it's the end of the world if they even change their mind at all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're so young, like, you know what I mean? It's like there are a lot of things that I thought at 18, 19, 20, and I don't want to speak for women because I'm not a woman, but
Yeah.
The things that I thought as a young man, it's like, dude, I don't even think those things no more. Like I used to have this huge hatred towards the world.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, fuck everybody in it.
Yeah.
Like all of you, and to a sense, I still have that because it's a little bit of the thing that drives me sometimes in the sense of like, I know y'all are watching, but y'all don't want to hit me with a little like, or y'all don't want to hit me with a little follow, but I know y'all watching. But it's not hate anymore. It's really just like, it's cool. Just keep watching. I mean, if you want to ride with it, it's cool. And watch when everybody rides with it, it's like, you're going to want to ride with it too. But it's like, I'm not doing it to specifically you and this and that. And I just had a lot of those moments in my high school, like, and looking back, I'm just like, I don't really care too much no more. You know what I mean? I'm like I thought so hard on that in my 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
And now I'm 23 and I'm like, I don't really care. You know what I mean? But like I said, I still have those kind of thoughts sometimes just to drive me sometimes to be like, look, like, and not just them. I don't do it for nobody. You know what I mean? I do everything for myself and my family. So that's kind of where I made the shift to be like, stop focusing on that so much and focusing on what you want to be doing and how you feel about it. You know what I mean?
Well, I think your mind changes.
Yeah.
Like even you at 23, you're different than you were at 20. You're going to feel completely different at 30.
No, absolutely.
Like things just happen and you have different experiences and you grow and, you know, all these things. So you're not going to feel the way that you, like what I thought I would be doing with my life when I was 20 this was never even a possibility in my brain, right? I never thought that I'd be single, running a business, you know, up and move across the country away from my family, like no kids, you know, like never in my life did I think that at 20.
Yeah.
But, you know, at 20 years old, no one could tell me shit.
Yeah.
Right? This is me. I'm going to be trying to fight people. I'm going to run my mouth. I don't know anything about trauma responses. Here's what I want to do with my life. And you just have to be okay with that changing over time and allow yourself to grow and evolve and to say, okay, I'm not that person anymore. Because I think a lot of times we dig our heels in and we try to just be this person that we've created. And we say like, well, this is just who I am. But I literally say to people when they reach out to me and they knew me from high school, I'm like, first of all, before we even start this conversation, like, I'm sorry for anything I did in high school. I'm not that person anymore. Like, I had a chip on my shoulder. I was quick to tell people off. You know, I was always a good person. I always cared a lot about people, but I didn't know how to always express my emotions or, you know, like whatever. And it's like, don't hold that against me. Don't even hold college Sarah against me.
Yeah.
You know, and I was joking with my parents the other day because I got in an argument with someone and I'm like, she's so lucky she didn't meet 20-year-old Sarah because 20-year-old Sarah would have been trying to fight her.
Yeah.
Like at 30, I'm like, I'm not name calling. I'm not cursing. I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm literally just.
Because your mind in your own bubble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't let nobody burst that bubble for you.
You have to allow yourself to grow and evolve. And like when you learn about trauma responses and you learn about your own shit, you start to give other people a lot more grace.
Yeah, definitely. Because that's one thing that I used to think a lot about, like mental health and stuff. I used to be like, what the fuck? Like mental health, like just go for a run or something. Like, you know what I mean? And it's more than that,
Oh,
though.
it's a lot
like,
more.
Like you said,
Yeah.
working out is awesome. Sometimes it does help a lot of people. And it's like, it's almost like everybody knows it helps a lot of people.
Yeah.
But the thing that I feel like sometimes isn't talked about is like, what about when you do that and it doesn't help people, right? Sometimes I used to, like I said, I used to think like, oh, just go for a run, like because it works for me,
Yeah.
right? And then I see like I was watching some kind of like cold case like murder thing on Netflix or something,
Yeah.
and they were like, oh yeah, this like super athletic dude killed his wife. I'm like, and he had mental problems. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, you see what I'm saying? And I'm like, and like you said, once you start learning more about yourself, it's like when you start like, oh, this doesn't work for everybody. You got to think about like, okay, yeah, maybe they're the most like sports, like into sports and stuff, but and that's not what's gonna get it out of them. Maybe they just like to paint or do this, and that's what gets it out of them. And that thing is good for everybody to understand, because I was so like when I was younger, I was so like into like trying to put that on people, like sorry if I ever tried to put that on you.
No, you're
yeah.
fine.
No, not you, not you.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm like, you didn't ever put it on me.
No, I'm talking about people,
In general.
people in the past. Yeah, in general. But
well, I think as humans, we are innately egocentric, right? We have to learn to not be egocentric. So we come with the mindset of like, well, I overcame addiction this way. I overcame poverty this way. And if I did it, you can do it. And that's actually kind of a toxic mindset.
Yeah.
And when I was an addictions counselor, I'm not in recovery. So I never came with the energy of like, well, I did it so you can do it. And here's how I did it. So you have to do it my way, because I never did it. And I worked with counselors who were in recovery, and they were very egocentric about, I did it this way. I just put down the alcohol and stopped. Or I went to NA every single week, so you need to.
Yeah.
We need to recognize that just because we did something doesn't mean that this person can do it. And just because we did it in a certain way doesn't mean that that certain way is going to work for someone else. We are very egocentric as humans, and it's okay to operate that way because it's normal. But to say, okay, take a step back. This isn't about me. This isn't about how I was successful. This person's experience is totally different. And I might work out and feel that my anxiety and depression is completely handled through working out and eating right. But this person over here might legitimately need medication and therapy to deal with their, no working out in the world can help that persistent of depression. Can it help? Sure.
Yeah.
But this person still needs their medication, and that's okay.
Do you think that's like a quote unquote like a old head mentality kind of thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like, even in like the boxing space and everything, it's like everybody has their own ways of doing it that they've seen, quote unquote, or they've done it, quote unquote. And it's like, but things are different now. Like genetics are different, this and that, and sometimes it just doesn't like in working out and stuff. Like if you have bad genetics, certain things won't work the same that it would for like, you know, the certain workouts and this and that, diet and all that. Some people can eat a shit ton and not feel some kind of way. And it is a very old head mentality to think like that. I definitely agree. And I'm glad to understand that now a little bit better, because I don't fully know everything, but I'm glad to understand it a little bit better in anything, you know?
Well, just being open to other people's experiences and allowing them to tell you. So you might not feel comfortable being an expert in thyroid issues, right? So you might deal with a woman who has hormones out of whack, her menstrual cycle's all fucked up, right? And she has thyroid issues. Obviously, you don't have that experience. You don't have a uterus, right? But being open to allowing her to tell you her experience.
Yeah.
You don't need to fully understand it. You just need to be willing to listen and not always want to put your opinion in, or not always wanting to whatever, because that's what people are quick to do, right? It's like, just be okay with someone telling you about their experience. You don't need to be an expert in it. You don't need to solve their problems for them. Sometimes it's...
You don't. You really don't. You don't.
Sometimes people are just looking for comfort.
Yeah, you're not everyone's saving grace. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's where I had a problem sometimes. And my brothers and and everybody around me has always kind of pointed that out. Not pointed it out, but I've known they've always thought that. Like, I always used to think like I can come and save the day with I don't know, wisdom and this and that. And don't get me wrong, it helps a lot of people, but it's not what everybody needs, you know? And so nowadays, I try to just give my opinion where people, you know, that when people reach out to want it, you know? If not, then just listen. People just want like you said, just comfort and being able to be listened to, and that's kind of one of the reasons I started this, was just kind of because I'm like, I need to work on myself and my self growth in the sense of being able to listen and do this, and what better way to do it than to document it and really be able to talk with somebody about what they got going on, because this podcast is. It's not about me. You know what I mean? As long as I'm going to talk about what I do and this and that, but it's not about me. It's about the people sitting in that chair, you know? And the whole garden aspect is just like, you know, this is my garden. This is my home. And I'm here to listen about what you got going on, your garden, what you're growing, what you're planting and all that. You know what I mean?
I love that. Yeah.
And it's cool. It's cool. And I appreciate you coming out today and let us know what you got going on. In the future, or like coming up. Do you have anything coming up for like this month or the next month or anything?
Yeah, definitely. So right now I'm booking different speaking engagements. So, you know, whether that's an entrepreneur summit or a training and development for sales teams, I'm always booking out for those. But other than that, I'm just doing my thing, hosting events, attending events. I have this 200-person event coming up in the fall. I'm so excited
what date?
about that.
What date and where? Or do you not know?
I can't tell you the date just yet. I'm signing a contract this week. So once the contract is signed, but it's going to be in early October.
Okay.
So I'm super excited about that. And this is going to be a women's event, but we are adding in a component for men. Okay. So what does it look like for men to support this space, but also giving them a space to grow their business too? Yeah. So we can be over here doing this thing, but men can be over here networking with each other, learning together, and then maybe we come together for like a cocktail hour or something cool like that. So it'll be here in Gainesville. It'll be the first event of its kind in Gainesville.
Okay.
So Gainesville has way more entrepreneurs than I think people realize.
It has a lot.
And when we do these national events, everyone wants to go to Atlanta. Why not bring that economic growth to Gainesville? Yeah. Gainesville has so much going on right now. So I'm bringing in female entrepreneurs from all over the country.
Okay.
To Gainesville, exciting. Right?
Hell yeah.
For the weekend to do this like marketing and sales workshops and all these things. Yeah. So I'm just super excited about that. So I'm just out here hosting events. I attend other people's events, and if you want me to come speak at your event, I'm booking.
Well, hey, I'm excited for you. That sounds amazing. Maybe we'll have you on after your event, and then we could talk about that. How that
we
went.
We can debrief.
Yeah, kind of get like a little bit of a follow up. That's kind of one things that I talk with. I believe I think the last guest I was on here, I kind of talked to him about. We'll do like a follow up or something. That'd be dope. Kind of how business is doing.
That would be cool. Yeah.
You know. Yeah, but that's it for today. Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Anybody watching, let them know where they can check you out.
The easiest place to go is sarahjeanco.com. So it's Sarah with an H, JEANCO.com. That has all my social links. It's got all the things. It's just right there on the website in one centralized location.
And we'll have it linked. We'll have it linked on YouTube. And if you're listening on Spotify, thank you so much for listening. Rate us a 5-star on Spotify. Guys, keep watering your plants. Keep planting those seeds. And don't be afraid to plant that new seed today or tomorrow or whenever it is the time to do it. Like I said, remember that plants take patience, watering, and that consistency of growth in the garden. But guys, check us out on YouTube and Spotify at The Garden PC. PC stands for podcast. We're on Instagram as well and on TikTok. So
whoop, whoop.
That's it. It's a wrap.
I love it.